In ancient China, at the foot of Emerald Mountains, there was a small village. It was surrounded by rice fields, bamboo groves, and a narrow river that wound its way between stones, mirroring the sky. Life in the village flowed peacefully. People grew crops, tended their animals, prayed at the temple, and gathered at the bustling market. Among them lived an old teacher named Li Shen. He was 70 years old. His hair was as white as snow on the mountain peaks, yet his face remained clear. His eyes glowed with a gentle light, and his movements were light and free, as though he carried not years on his shoulders, but the wind itself. Everyone who met him marveled. Shouldn't his age weigh heavily upon him? Why does he look younger than so many of us? Perhaps he drinks a rare elixir, or knows the secret of immortals. Maybe the mountain spirits protect him? These whispers spread not only in the village, but across nearby towns. People came to Li Shen seeking blessings, advice, or the secret of eternal youth. Yet he always replied simply, "Youth is not found in herbs or potions. Youth lives in the heart that remains light." Many left disappointed, for they wanted an easy answer. But one day, a young man arrived who chose to stay. The man's name was Wei. Though only 20, his face looked tired. Heavy lines lay upon his brow, his shoulders drooped, and there was no spark in his eyes. He bowed deeply before the teacher and said, "Master Li Shen, I heard you know the secret of youth. I fear growing old too quickly. Look at my neighbors. They are barely 30, yet their faces are already wrinkled, and their souls heavy with weariness. They live as though they are 60. I do not want such a fate. Teach me your art." Li Shen looked at him with kindness and smiled. "Youth is not a wrinkle on the face, Wei. Youth is the breath of the heart. Since you have come with sincerity, stay and learn." So Wei became his disciple. At dawn, Li Shen led him into the mountains. The rising sun painted the slopes in gold. He handed Wei a sack full of heavy stones. "Carry this to the top," he said. Wei obeyed. At first he walked briskly, but soon the weight pressed upon his back. His steps slowed, his breath grew ragged, and sweat rolled down his face. "Master, this burden is too heavy," he groaned. Li Shen replied calmly, "So are your thoughts. Each stone is a grudge, regret, or fear you carry in your heart. Man does not age from years, but from the weight he loads upon himself." When they reached the peak, the teacher told him to empty the stones into the abyss. The rocks tumbled down with a crash, and Wei felt a surprising lightness. "Remember," said Li Shen, "he who learns to let go remains light." The next day they walked to a dry well. Its stone walls were crumbling, its bottom empty. "This well once gave water," said Li Shen, "but now it is dry. So it is with man. When he is never satisfied, always grasping, he dries up." He handed Wei a jar of water. "Share this with the villagers." Wei went from house to house. He offered water to elders, to children, to weary neighbors. Each thanked him, some with smiles, some with bows, some with kind words. When the jar was empty, Wei returned. "Master, I gave away everything I had. I thought I would feel empty, but instead I feel warmth and strength." "How is that possible?" "Because joy returns," Li Shen answered. "Not to the jar, but to the heart. One who shares is never empty." Days later, they went to the market. The air was filled with the cries of merchants, the braying of donkeys, the arguments of buyers, the scent of spices and baked bread. Suddenly, a man bumped into Wei. He flared up. "How dare he?" Li Shen spoke softly. "Look at him closely. See how deep his wrinkles run, how dull his eyes are. He lives in anger, and each day ages him by a month." The teacher placed a hand on Wei's shoulder. "Anger is fire. It burns not the enemy, but its master. He who quenches it keeps his face unmarked." One evening, they sat by the river. The moon shone on the water, carried away by the current. "Master," asked Wei, "what about time? We cannot stop it. No matter how I let go or rejoice, the years still pass." Li Shen scooped water into his palm. In the hand, Water slips away quickly, but the river itself flows endlessly. So it is with time. He who clings to each day ages, but he who flows with it remains fresh, like the river. Months passed. Wei learned to let go of grudges, to share joy, to quench anger, to flow with time. His face grew clearer, his eyes shone with life. But then disaster struck. A drought came. The rice fields cracked, the wells ran dry, hunger spread. Fear gripped Wei. "Master, what shall we do? I fear death. I fear for my family." Li Shen looked at him gently. "This is your last trial. Fear is the heaviest burden. Carry it in your heart, and it will aid you faster than all the years combined." Wei thought long. Then he understood. Fear brings neither water nor rice. It only steals strength. So he began to help, carrying water from a far spring, sharing what little rice he had, comforting children. And he noticed, the less he fed his fear, the stronger and lighter he became. Years passed. Li Shen left this world as quietly as a candle fading in the night. Wei remained in the village and became a teacher himself. People came to him and marveled. "You are 40, yet you look like a youth." And he answered with his master's words, "Youth is not on the face. It is in the heart." If a person looks younger than their age, it means their heart has learned to be light. And the lightness of the heart is stronger than any medicine or elixir.